So yeah, I would like to disagree that Bitcoin is not suitable for payments. I think it's very suitable and being used for payments more and more. From my personal experience, I work at a cryptocurrency payment gateway, CoinGate, and we have seen a 10 times increase since last year of transactions per day, and it's transactions where people specifically pay for some product or service. It's not trading. But Bitcoin on a basic layer indeed has some potential problems of scalability, because at the moment Bitcoin network can process about 7 transactions per second. Transaction gets confirmed, that means that it can no longer be reversed on average in 5 minutes. If you want the transaction to be confirmed faster, you need to pay a higher transaction fee, which at the moment is somewhere around like just a few euro cents. But during the beginning of this year, when the price of Bitcoin was very high, and for that reason there were more transactions, the fee of one Bitcoin transaction was on average at one time maybe like $20 or something like that. And also there's a big problem of Bitcoin is a complete lack of anonymity. So I think like a few years ago there was this popular myth that Bitcoin is anonymous and untraceable, and it couldn't be further from the truth, of course. And I would say that the lack of anonymity is probably the biggest problem of Bitcoin at the moment, because everyone can see who paid who and who bought what. People tried to think of various solutions, how to improve the scalability, how to make Bitcoin process more transactions per second. And one of the solutions that was created was so-called Lightning Network. So if you imagine Bitcoin as a network protocol, it's like a layer 1. So for example, like when you go to some website, the TCP/IP protocol is like layer 1 protocol, and then on top of it goes layer 2 protocols like HTTP, SMTP, FTP, BitTorrent, etc. So you can imagine Bitcoin like layer 1 protocol, and on top of that goes layer 2 protocols like the Lightning Network. So the benefits of Lightning Network, and I actually believe that the Lightning Network is the second biggest innovation in the whole crypto space after Bitcoin itself. So what it does, it lets people to make thousands of times more transactions per second. Transactions are confirmed, that means they can no longer be reversed in less than a second. Transaction fee is completely negligible, is like 1 Satoshi or less, because Lightning Network allows sending sub-Satoshi amounts, so 1,000th of Satoshi. And also it increases somewhat privacy of the users, because no longer everyone can see the transaction, but only the participants in that transaction can see it. How it works using so-called payment channels. And a payment channel is, on a technical level, it's a multi-signature transaction. And let's say 2 people, Alice and Bob, open a payment channel between themselves. They need 1 transaction on-chain to open the payment channel. When the payment channel is open, they can send basically unlimited amount of transactions between themselves. And when they want to close this channel, and you can compare it to like a settlement of all the payments that happened, they need another transaction on chain. So how it works, for example, if two people, Alice and Bob, open a payment channel where Alice has 0.5 BTC and Bob has 0.5 BTC. If Alice wants to send Bob 0.1 BTC, then Alice signs a transaction which says that Alice has 0.4 BTC and Bob has 0.6 BTC, and sends that to Bob directly. And also the technology is smart in a way that it prevents cheating, because if then later Alice would try to close the channel to settle the channel amounts using the old state of the channel where they both had half of BTC, even the mere attempt would let Bob take the whole Bitcoin. So it punishes when you try to cheat the system, you risk not only not succeeding, but you risk losing money yourself. Also, you don't need to have a direct payment channel with someone, and that's where the network part comes in. So if A has a payment channel with B, and B with C, and C with D, and etc., then A can send the payment to D via those channels. And when I mentioned the privacy improvements, so if A sends payment to D via B and C, so only A, B, C, and D would see that payment, but no one else would see it. So it's not perfect anonymity, but it's still an improvement over the current state of the blockchain where everyone can see it. And it's actually a really, really new technology. It was created like the first versions a few years ago, but it really started to be used like in the beginning of 2018. And well, this is how it looks now. So each dot is a node in the Lightning Network, and each line is a payment channel between two nodes. So I mentioned I work at CoinGate, so we implemented the Lightning Network on September this year. We were the first payment gateway in the world to do that, and at the moment we see like, well, in general we process about 1,000 transactions per day, and about 1 or 2 of those are via Lightning Network. So it's a really, really new technology. I think it's at a state where Bitcoin was like in 2010. It's really the moment, like there are no user-friendly wallets, only geeks and technical people use it. But already I can see where it leads, because one of the, for example, of Lightning Network wallets called Zap Wallet has a function of autopilot, because you can't really expect a user to understand things about payment channels, how they work. You have to open them, close them, and the autopilot function works that you turn it on, and in the background it opens the needed channels for you, and when it monitors them, when you need close them, and the user does not have to understand it or see it, how it works. Well, it's also visualization of Lightning Network, just another example. The size of the bubble shows how much funds are in the channels with that node. So one of popular myths is that Lightning Network is somehow centralized technology or something like that. So it's really not true. It does not introduce any new token or any new coin. It just uses traditional multi-sig transactions, which were in the Bitcoin since the beginning. And as you can see here, it does not seem centralized at all. So that's it, and I think Jaro will now tell about other innovations which happen in Bitcoin. And if you have any questions, you can ask me later during the discussion. Thank you.
Maybe I only one or two questions. Does anyone has a question? I have a question for Rytis.
Yes.
How do you think about centralization? For me, let's say I have Bitcoin and I want to open channel. Probably I will choose to open channel with a person who has more channels. I mean, I prefer to choose person who has more channels rather than less channels. So it leads to centralization because, well, if I open with some person who has more channels, another open with a person who has more channels, this person become
yes, I understand. But it's not really a central point because anyone can run a node, anyone can open a channel with anyone, and no one can prevent that. So of course,
my intention is to open channel with person who has.
Sure. So even in the Bitcoin main Bitcoin network, some nodes have more connections, some nodes have less connections. But that's not really centralization. It's just inevitable that some nodes will be better connected than other nodes. But there is nothing at all which prevents creation of new nodes. And that node, if it disappears, you can connect to other node. And it cannot do like any bad stuff. It cannot steal your money. So yeah, and for those reasons, it's really not a problem, even if some nodes are better connected than other nodes.
Is there a practical use of Lightning Network, like multi-payment channel? I mean, in some projects.
What do you mean by multi-payment channel?
I mean that you can send not directly to somebody or through like different people, like to somebody you don't know.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but the benefits are that it allows thousands of more transactions to happen using Bitcoin than on the main network itself. So it's mainly a scalability solution because now Bitcoin can process 7 transactions per second. With Lightning Network, it can process basically infinite number of transactions per second. Yeah. So that's one thing. Another, it enables, because transactions are extremely cheap, it enables basically not just microtransactions, but like nano transactions, which allows, it's a concept called it's like streaming money. So for example, you can pay for content or for something per second and send tiny several Satoshi payments each second when you are using service in real time. You cannot do that using
done like off-chain, not on-chain.
So yes, Lightning Network is off-chain.
Yes, so it's like a practical use already. I don't know, somebody's using the project, how those payments are being processed. You're not just coming and paying for the coffee or using Lightning.
Maybe I will try to explain again.
Yeah, actually you can pay for coffee using Lightning Network.
Is it live? Okay.
Yes.
It's live, yeah?
Yes, it's been live since the beginning of 2018. And yeah,
CoinGate
as
is
I
a
mentioned,
merchant. Yeah. So people, when they want accept some Bitcoin,
gateway,
like payment gateway. Yeah? So if somebody wants to accept Bitcoins, they integrate CoinGate. And CoinGate now have integration with Lightning Network. And as Rytis already mentioned, some people, by buying something online, it doesn't matter what they buy, a book or a service or anything else. Some people already buys it via Lightning channel.
Yes, so we already have, it's very little, but it's still a few transactions each day via Lightning Network. And from various, including like buying, I don't know, coffee or beer, for example, there's a bar in Oslo which uses CoinGate, and they posted on Twitter like a video of someone paying using Lightning Network. So yes, of course, it works already. And there is also this like in some circles online, I guess, like this popular, I don't know how to call it, myth or propaganda that Lightning Network is vaporware and it doesn't work. It is real, it already works and people already use it.
So is there some kind of upper limit for Lightning Network transaction?
Well, basically yes, yes and no at the same time, because there's no fundamental limit like in Bitcoin. There's a block size, and no matter how you optimize transactions, there still will be a limit how much you can put. You can raise the block size, but you can't raise it infinitely. So there will be, in one or another way, some fundamental limit. With Lightning Network, there is no limit how many participants can participate in the Lightning Network, and there is no limit how many transactions you can send in each payment channel when it's open. So the limit there might be some practical limits, of course, like
maybe limit of amount of money, how much you can send in one transaction.
At the moment, that limit is 0.042 BTC, but it's just because it's like an artificial limit because the technology is so new. And so the limit is 21 million Bitcoins, basically, in fundamental way. And when the payment channel is open, there might be like, I don't know, physical limits, how many transactions you can send during that channel, but not fundamental limits based on some external force. Yes?
So you mentioned that right now you have only a few transactions via Lightning Network. So why only few? And it already started. Why?
Because it's a very, very young technology. There are no user-friendly wallets. Like I mentioned, I think it's in the state like where Bitcoin was in 2010. There was not many transactions happening in Bitcoin in general in 2010. So yeah, and those are the reasons. And
I think that's a great opportunity for software developers just to work on cool user-friendly Lightning wallet.
Yeah, and exactly, and there are at least a dozen of Lightning Network wallets which already work but being improved, and there are at least 6 different Lightning Network implementations, 3 major ones, which are compatible between each other, but everyone, because it's a protocol, like everyone can write their own Bitcoin implementation and everyone can write their own Lightning Network implementation using any programming language they want. And so yeah, at the moment there are 3 major Lightning Network implementations. They are, well, I wouldn't say like competing between each other, but they maybe, I don't know, can be suited better for different cases. And yeah, there are a dozen wallets, but it's still very early, and it's not really user-friendly. I wouldn't say that Bitcoin itself is extremely user-friendly now. And so Lightning Network is like much worse than that at the moment in user-friendliness. But that, of course, can change and will change and is being improved.